All right. All right, welcome everybody. I'm Amanda Porter with Divorcing Dilemmas with our latest video. For those of you who haven't seen us before, every month I interview a different professional who has some expertise in various areas that might help people going through a divorce. So with us today, I have Erin with Resolution Divorce Services. So welcome, Erin.
Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So today we are going to be talking about parenting consulting or parenting consultants. That is a tool that can be helpful. Before we begin talking about that, though, I will just also mention that Erin is also a fabulous mediator. So if you don't need her for parenting consulting, do consider using her for mediation.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Erin, tell the viewers a little bit, what is a parenting consultant?
So a parenting consultant is a professional that is hired by both parents to help resolve conflict after their divorce is final around parenting issues. So the parenting consultant has to be appointed by a judge, and there's a specific order that is used to appoint the parenting consultant, which gives the parenting consultant authority to help parents resolve conflict. For lack of a better term, I usually refer to it as kind of a mini judge. Although we really do a lot more than just make decisions, but because we are appointed by the court, we do have power to make decisions for parents who are having different kinds of disputes.
Okay, so kind of one of the big differences between mediation and a parenting consultant, right, is that you can actually make the decisions if the parties can't reach an agreement.
Yep, and mediation, it's much more facilitative as far as trying to get parents to agree. And mediation is part of the parenting consulting process. I always start, if I'm notified by clients that they're having a dispute about a certain topic, I always start by trying to get them, through mediation, trying to get them to come to some sort of agreement. That's always my first preference. I think parents are best suited to make decisions on behalf of their kids. They know their kids, they know their lives, everything else. So that's always my first goal, is to try to get them to decide. And then obviously there are certain times where parents come to an impasse on something, and then that's when I would go into what I call decision-making mode, or making a decision.
All right, awesome. And without violating any, confidentiality, obviously, what are some of the types of issues that a parenting consultant can help with? What are some of the most common types that you see?
Every case is different. So, in the order that gets executed with the court, there's a section called scope of authority. And under that scope of authority section, it kind of, I have had cases where my scope is entirely around, parenting time schedule, vacation schedule, and that's it. The majority of my clients, though, the scope of authority is much broader. It includes anything you can think. Vacations, extracurricular activities, just therapeutic services. Usually there's authority to have parents attend therapy or kids attend therapy. Choosing the therapist, medical decisions, just about anything that you can think of. We are specifically prohibited from touching child support. So if there is a disagreement about child support, parenting consultants can't deal with that unless parents stipulate that they're allowed to, but that is not usually the case. And child support, and the other thing that's excluded is changing custody labels. So you can't change legal custody labels or physical custody labels. That can only be handled.
Okay. So then otherwise, other than that, though, anything that the parents have agreed upon that you would have authority ahead of time, then you can go ahead and deal with those issues.
Yeah, and I would say parenting time is probably a most common one. And then extracurricular, and lately I've been dealing with a lot of therapy, whether or not kids should be in therapy or parents should be in therapy, and if so, who the therapist should be.
Sure. Awesome. All right, so you talked a little bit about the process already. You said you always like to start with mediation. Tell us a little bit more about what that process looks like.
So that varies by client too. Like some clients, I just have like a standard every other week phone call where we kind of hash over, okay, what's going on, what needs to be worked out, and try to mediate just via the phone. So that's part of the process. Another important part of the process is really coaching parents individually on how they can reduce conflict from the other parents. Sometimes parents are doing things that are really creating problems that they might not be aware of. So I might say, you know, that's not really helpful to getting things resolved, so let's try to do something differently, that kind of thing. So those are parts of the process. And then, of course, that last part of the process is making decisions when the coaching and the mediation part aren't getting us where we need to be.
Okay, great. I think that's a really helpful piece sometimes. It's always great, like you said, if the parents can reach an agreement, but it's nice to have, some people can waste so much time in mediation if they're just having trouble. So having somebody who could ultimately make the decision can be very helpful for some parties. I know frequently we've used it for school choice issues where there's only so much compromising you can do when choosing a school. And so then it's helpful they can make their best case and you know, ultimately let the parenting consultant decide. It's
For
great.
sure.
So what is the kind of, is there an end goal usually? I mean, are we trying to have parenting consultants for the rest of the childhood, or?
I always start the process by saying my hope is that I can work my way out of a job. And my hope is that with some coaching and some facilitation that parents can get a little bit more skilled at communicating, more skilled at resolving conflict themselves, and then they won't need me anymore, which is great. That's not super, I've had it happen, but it's not super common. And, you know, a lot of times too, you know, there is obviously a fee with this service. So I always advise clients, you know, try to use me sparingly, because obviously there's a fee. And I tell clients, you know, no news is good news. So if you've hired me and we've gone through orientation and we're kind of up to speed, I don't tend to check in on clients or, you know, I don't have a lot of oversight until I hear from one parent that there's some sort of controversy, and then of course I will get involved at that point. So I guess my end goal is to be used as little as possible, because usually I think if I'm not needed, things are going okay for families. But that being said, of course, I recognize that, you know, my services are needed sometimes.
Right. Yeah, awesome. Was there anything else that you want people to know about parenting consulting?
Just that it can be really, you know, a lot of times it can be much more efficient than trying to resolve it through the court. Obviously, if you're going through court, you have weeks of waiting time to get hearings, and that is not, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm able to respond to something, you know, within a day or something. It's not usually that quick, but it's certainly more efficient than going through the courts. And the other advantage is that I really get to know my clients. You know, we do an intake process where I meet with both parties for a pretty lengthy period of time. So I really get to hear their story and understand their family and hear about their kids, whereas a judge obviously is not probably going to get the level of detail that they might otherwise, or that this process allows PCs to get. So
absolutely. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Erin.
All right, thank you.
And if you're interested in contacting her either for parenting consulting or mediation or anything like that, her contact information will either be below you or to the side, depending on what venue you're watching this on. So thanks so much, Erin.
Thank you.
Thanks.